Om. 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 Good evening. I'm not Jeff Bridges, but if I were, I would offer you a glass of water and a bedtime story. I'm Jonathan Sparks, and I'm here to tell you an even better story. It's fun because it's about a brave band of religious refugees who came to this country a long time ago. You see, back when you could be burned alive for saying the Pope was wrong, somebody said the Pope was wrong, and they burned him for it. His name was John HIUS, and he had a bunch of people who agreed with him, but not loudly enough to get burned at the stake themselves. This group, called the Unitas Fratrum, would hide in the woods of Bohemia and Moravia in what is now the Czech Republic. They looked for places to keep a low profile, and they finally ended up settling at the country estate of a noble named Nicholas Zinzendorf. The group rebranded themselves Moravians, and along with their desire to live communally, they nurtured a desire to spread the gospel, just like the Apostolic Church way back in the Bible. With Zinzendorf's financial backing, and in some cases his diplomatic connections, the Moravians established missions to the indigenous people of Greenland and the Americas. They went and preached and converted the slaves in the West Indies and South Carolina, and they even established a couple of missions in Europe and Africa. Scholars like us are familiar with the massive wave of Methodism that washed over the British colonies in the years around the Revolution. But what many of us are not told is about the drop in the pond that started that wave. You see, a young John Wesley was a passenger aboard a passenger vessel on his way to his next assignment in what is now Savannah, Georgia. The Moravians were heavily involved in mission work, to the least among them, and their egalitarian ideas of brotherhood were revolutionary. Count Zinzendorf entered the mission field himself, spending time in the West Indies, evangelizing slaves and natives there. The Moravian ethos of equality before God broke down social barriers for them. Slaves and nobles alike, and everybody in between, could hold church offices, they could worship side by side, and even live in the same quarters together. The Moravians established colonies in what is now Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Although these were purposed as base camps for launching missions to the natives, they were built to last. Many of the original buildings are still upright today and are open to the public as a living museum. Aside from the spiritual contributions of the small denomination, they also contributed to building and architecture. During his trip to Salem, George Washington was quite impressed with the town's water management system. The architect of the U.S. Capitol was none other than Benjamin Latrobe, a Moravian from England. The Moravians did not leave a large footprint on this country. Years of worshiping and living in the shadows for the sake of survival had conditioned them to live and work quietly. They sought the company of the neglected for the sake of saving his soul. They never sought to establish great or noticeable legacies for their own remembrance. They were the small stone, cast into the pond and destined to make waves through the activities of others. Thank you very much.